Hi, Carlos. Hi, Joe. Oh my gosh. Hello, Stream Elements bot. I am testing like a new software, and I didn't realize that I modded their bot. Hi, Juju. How was your day? Hi, Lily. Hi, Kayla. Good to see you. I had a very fun morning. Hi, Dawn. Hi, bartender. Haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Sky. Well, I had a very fun morning, and that's actually sarcastic. Vasil texted me this morning, and he was like, "Hey, there is something in the toilet. Is it yours?" And it was my New Face microcurrent device, so it fell in the toilet. I don't know how. Well, I mean, I have ideas how, but we're not gonna go there. But anyways, so it fell in the toilet, and now I don't have it anymore, which is really annoying because I do love using it, and it was expensive, and I can't afford to replace it. So I am incredibly bitter. Hi, Rapid, or Rapido. Hi, Taz. Hi, Danon. Hi, Prexis. Hi, Kareen. Hi, everybody. So I am incredibly slightly bitter today. Slightly bitter. What a great beginning to the morning. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Auntie. Kayla. Hi, Veronica. Oh, hi. Hello. Haris, thank you so much. Don't drop anything. Well, I did. That's the thing. Auntie, sorry. Oh my gosh, I just glitched so much. Привет, добрый, jak вас? I just glitched so much. But see, Auntie, the thing is, I didn't drop it. I have ideas what happened, but I'm not a psychic. Що впало? Та девайс для skincare дуже дорогий в туалет. That's the thing. See, tips for bartender. Yes, exactly. Toilet seat down. I agree. And that's something that I've done. Okay, here is a funny thing that I don't even know how I managed to relate toilets to Ukraine, but there we go. So, hi, Lauren. So I actually always put the toilet seat down because a lot of Ukrainian people are incredibly superstitious. Now, I'm not, but I grew up in a horrendously superstitious household. Like, so superstitious, it's not even funny. My mom is super superstitious, and she's gonna deny that with the entirety of her being, but she is. And so my mom and my grandma have been telling me my entire life that if you don't put the toilet seat down and you flush the toilet, you're flushing the money out of your household. And I don't even believe it, but I've been threatened by it so much as a child that I literally, I just can't walk out of the bathroom without, putting the toilet seat down. I do it in cafes. I do it in restaurants. I don't do it in public bathrooms because, frankly, I don't want to touch that toilet seat. But I do that due to the superstitiousness of my family. Hi, Jahar. Hi, Jahar Ladayev. So that's what I do. So I am willing to bet. See, I was told, oh, I walked in there and I was already there after you used the bathroom, and I'm like, well, it could not have possibly fell into the toilet after I used the bathroom because I automatically always put the seat down. So that's that. Also, speaking of, before we dive into the news, and I promise we're gonna dive into the news in maximum 5 minutes, because hi Debbie, because we will. But before we do, I will tell you another incredibly funny story from my childhood to illustrate just how superstitious my parents are. So my mom decided to renovate the apartment when I was, I don't remember, like maybe 10, maybe 11 or something like that. I was younger. And my mom decided to do like a big, big, big renovation. And like the whole apartment. But my mom, again, is superstitious. So she decided to get a, not like a psychic, but a room vibes energy reader to come to our house and read the energy of different rooms and different corners of the room to like know where to put the beds and, other things, because that works. But anyways, so my mom hires this man. She doesn't tell me, she tells my dad. Obviously. So I wake up at like 8 in the morning on a Saturday morning to some elderly dude standing over me as I'm sleeping in my bed with like two sticks. They are L-shaped and they're like moving. Okay. They're just like moving in these rotating motions. I wake up, I naturally scream because why is there an elderly dude standing over me with like metal sticks that are moving? My mom runs in and she's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What is this?" And she's like, "Oh, it's an energy reader." And I was like, "What kind of utter BS is this?" And I was like infuriated. So I am like yelling at my mom, obviously, because I'm like, "Get this man out of my room. I did not sign up for this. You want to do some weird crap to the house, you please do it. Like, do not, like, I don't want this in my room. Like, goodbye." So this man, and I said a lot of very, very not nice things about him, because also, like, who lets some random dude into their child's room to like stand over them while they're sleeping? Like, I don't care how much you believe in energy, don't do that. Just like don't. Anyways, so I was like incredibly pissed and I was like screaming and I like said everything I think about this, like how stupid this is and whatever. And so naturally this man said that my room is the only place in this house with incredibly negative energy, and it's concentrated specifically around my bed because obviously that's because I'm there. And yeah, so it was like a very negative energy and it needed cleansing, like a cleansing ritual. And I was like, absolutely the F not. So I call my father and I'm like, I'm trying to find my father because I know he's going to be the voice of reason in this madness, and he's going to like get rid of this craziness. And I call my dad. I realize he's not home. I call him and I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I fled." And I'm like, "And you left me there?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Come back and get me. Come back and get me." Це було в Україні, між іншим, а не в Америці, так що це було в Україні. But yeah, so my dad was like, "Nope, I'm not getting back there until that shaman leaves because it's ridiculous." And I'm like, "I cannot believe that you left me to fend for myself among this crazy stuff." So basically, yeah, my father, who equally as much doesn't believe in any of this crap, decided to just leave me there to deal with this BS. And did not come to pick me up, so I wouldn't have to deal with a man with sticks who decided that my room has the most negative energy in the house. Yeah, also thank you, Mariana, and hi, Mariana. So here's a story. So I feel like if you were having a bad morning, think about the morning I had when I was 11 and woke up to an elderly dude with what were they called? Divining rods, like as in like divining rods. Okay, multiple people have told me in the comments so far that dowsing rods. Okay, dowsing rods. Oh my god. Okay, well, because I was like, okay, well, that is a diagnosis in itself. Dowsing rods. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I don't mean to disrespect you if you believe in this stuff, but yeah, I was very not I was very not not keen on it. I do think that people that everybody should believe whatever they believe, and I do respect everyone's beliefs. But if I see someone standing over me or in my house with dowsing rods, once again in my house, this time I'm not gonna yell. I'm just gonna take a baseball bat. Just FYI, But everybody, you do you, guys. You like dowsing rods, you use dowsing rods. Thank you for the sweater compliment. I love this sweater too. I've actually, every time I wear this sweater, someone gives me a compliment on it. I got it at Nordstrom Rack on like a ridiculous sale. I mean, like this sweater is L'Agence, I think, and it's supposed to be like over $1,000, and I got it for like 100, I think, or something like that. Last time that I talked about it, I remembered it better, but then I like completely got it out of my head. But yeah, this was like a very, very good find. Okay. So we are going to dive into the news now. And before I do that, let me do the typical rundown. So, hi, my name is Yulia. For those of you who are new, I was born and raised in Lviv, Ukraine, where I lived until I was 16 years old, and then I moved to the United States, and I have been living in New York ever since for the past 12 years. Yes, I'm 28. I do know I have a baby face, and sometimes people tell me that I look so much younger. Thank you very much. But no, 30 is rapidly approaching. And I know there is going to be a ton of people in the comments making fun of me right now because they're going to be like, 30? Oh my gosh, I wish I was 30. Well, I'm experiencing that lovely transition in between your 20s and your 30s where like you could do all these things before and it was great. You could have pulled all-nighters and it was great. You could have done this, you could have done that, and you felt great. Now I move my arms and I feel like I am decomposing. So let me go through my grievances. I'm sure every age has its own problems. But anyways, I digress. So on this channel, 3 times a week, we used to do this every day, but now 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, normally at 12:30 p.m., but today I overslept. We do live streams where we talk about the latest news coming out of and pertaining to Ukraine. We dissect them, we give them political, geopolitical, historical, and otherwise relevant context. And I answer questions, we discuss everything. And thank you, Eva, and thank you, Krina, and thank you, Lily. And we basically just help everybody understand better what's happening and what it means to Ukraine and what it means for the future of Europe and the free world. This stream is airing right now on 4 different channels, on 4 different platforms. It is Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you prefer any of the platforms mentioned just now to the one that you're currently watching me on, you can easily switch by looking up the same handle that you see on your screen right now. If you are on Twitter or TikTok, you can go to my link in bio, and all of my platforms are linked there. Also, my YouTube is conveniently linked in the play button right next to my profile picture. Thank you so much, Mariana. And if you are on YouTube and Twitch, you can go to the About section and you will find everything you need. Also, all of my social medias are always mentioned and linked in the description of the videos, except for the one today. Wow, okay, that I shot myself in the foot with that. But anyways, if you don't follow me on YouTube yet, I highly suggest that you do, because there is lots of very, very good content over there. I do briefs twice a week, which are under 20 minutes rundowns of everything that happened and pertaining to Ukraine in that week so far. They're very convenient. There is also an animated list of weapons that have been announced and or delivered to Ukraine. Their status is there. Which country is sending them is there. Basically, all of the tiny little information that summarizes what they do is there as well, and it's like a quick rundown. And also everything is chaptered, so you can skip. The briefs are divided into 4 sections: the headline briefing, so the big topic of the week, then it's news from Ukraine, news from Russia, and worldwide affairs that pertain to Ukraine as well. Your smart TV might have YouTube. I have YouTube on my smart TV, yes. So yes, Oh gosh, what just happened? So these are the platforms and I'm on them. If you don't follow YouTube, please consider following YouTube. Thank you, Karina. I really, really appreciate it. And also, finally, I am recording a new segment today. I can't promise you exactly when it's going to come out because that depends on John, and his schedule this week is bonkers. But I am recording two new, hi. I am recording two new segments, one today, one tomorrow. And one of them is we are making Russian Madness a monthly rubric, a monthly segment instead of adding it to the briefs. And the next one is FAQs, and this week's is why did Russia attack? So it's going to come out at some point next week. Can't tell you when, but the FAQs are going live. Okay. Let me remind you that all of your gifts on TikTok, all of your super chats, super stickers, and all of that is really, really appreciated and really, really helpful and goes a really, really long way. Thank you so much, Nina and Karina. Oh, that's so cute, Nina and Karina. And if you would like to further support my journalism, I do have a Patreon. You have an ability to, in my link in bio. Yes, I'm frequently on Twitter, Jeremy. I have Patreon linked in my bio. You also have the option to sign up for the YouTube, for the TikTok live subscription and for the YouTube channel membership. So if that's something that interests you, that's incredibly helpful as well. And I have an Amazon list with mostly gear for filming that would make my life much easier, but but stuff that I definitely can't do right now. So thank you very much. None of this stuff is obviously expected, but very, very, very much appreciated. So without further ado, last thing. When I do the news and when I read the news, it's sometimes incredibly hard for me to look at the comments, especially if two chats are flowing fast. So if you want your question to be answered 100% on YouTube, then you are welcome to do a super chat because it pops up like green, pink, yellow border, and it's incredibly hard to miss. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be answering questions that are not super chats. It's just that they can get lost in the chat and I might not see it. But I will try to answer all the questions. Okay, Cheryl, hello. Thank you for bringing that up to me. Let me message you after this stream. Okay, sorry for that. I don't know what to say currently, but let me check into that and I will message you. Okay, hi Truthful. Okay, so today's headline is updates from Ramstein meeting, and Oleksiy Reznikov, the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, said this. Hi Graham, thank you, and thank you Truthful. Some countries announced their aid packages behind closed doors. So not everything can be discussed today. However, in any case, we're talking about a powerful reinforcement of the armed forces security and defense sector. As for Leopard 2 tanks, we have an optimistic breakthrough. Our partners who have these tanks in service have agreed that they can start training courses for Ukrainian tank crews to master the Leopard 2. The supply of aircraft was not discussed at today's meeting. The next meeting in the Ramstein format is scheduled for mid-February. So here's the thing. It is a significant breakthrough because training crews on Leopard 2s is kind of like, easing up on it, because there would be no reason to start training crews if there wasn't serious talk and serious consideration to green light them. Then also there was a giant protest in front of the Bundestag in Germany, in Berlin, that was titled elegantly, shortly, and understandably, "Free the Leopards." So as far as I understand, it was mostly organized by Ukrainians. And there were lots of people that showed up that weren't just Ukrainian, lots of Germans, also lots of people from other countries who were in Germany at that point. So it's the pressure on the German government, on Scholz in particular, is immensely high. And then also there was World Economic Forum just the other day, which is what the brief is about, and the pressure there coming from Duda, coming from Jens Stoltenberg, coming from so many leaders was incredible on Scholz as well. And I don't see a world in which, if that pressure continues, he won't cave. Because at this point, it's like the majority of Europe is pressuring him. Also, most countries that have leopards are ready to supply them to Ukraine, so it wouldn't even be like Germany would have to give their own leopards. No, it's like there are already leopards in service with different armies in Europe and in the world, and those countries are ready to transfer them. The Netherlands is ready to pay for new leopards. The Netherlands also said something very interesting, and I discuss it in the brief. But the Netherlands said that they would give Ukraine F-16s if Ukraine requested it. So that's like a big, big statement, and that's a big, big help. Also, Scholz recently came out and said that obviously they didn't agree on the transfer of leopards, but he is going to check the stock of leopards that they have in Germany, which I find it so funny, because he's like, oh, but we didn't decide to supply them. But we are going to check the stock if we even have any to spare. It's like, that people have them. And there is like over 100 leopards that have been pledged by different countries to Ukraine once Germany gives its permission. So don't play that game. It looks like Germany is just kind of like trying to stall, and it's incredibly strange in this situation, because at this point they're mostly not dependent on Russia for most resources. They're dependent on other countries, and it's just clearly there is something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. But at the same time, it's just at this point in the invasion, still stalling providing Ukraine with weapons is just ridiculous. And Olaf Scholz, that meme about your balls and you not having them and you having lost them on February 24th, I firmly do believe that might be true, and you need to start, quite frankly, looking for those balls, because life without them will be hard. So yes, Moldova is also thinking about NATO membership. There is a serious discussion now about our ability to defend ourselves. Whether we can do it on our own or whether we should become part of a larger alliance. And if we as a state come to the conclusion that we need to change our neutrality, it should happen through a democratic process, said Moldovan President Maya Sandu. Well, it's not uncanny that lots of countries that are in close proximity to Russia, or that have ever suffered from the Russian invasion or from the Russian influence, are now going to be wanting to join NATO, because, no one wants to go through what Ukraine is going through right now. Also, interestingly, so in the brief, if you haven't watched it yet, you should. It came out today. I talk about how Bulgaria, that it is rumored that Bulgaria has been giving Ukraine a certain amount of ammo, while low key and under the radar, while publicly saying that they're not going to be supporting Ukraine militarily. And it then came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before that Russia tried to organize a coup d'etat in Bulgaria in 2016, but it was found out about, and it was prevented, and most of the perpetrators were arrested before they could even get to Sofia, the capital. And that makes a lot of sense now why Bulgaria was doing it on the down low, and why publicly it was keeping an image of not helping and not giving weapons, and in reality it was giving lots of weapons behind the scenes. So that's very interesting. I'm very curious to see more research on that, and I'm very curious to see more news on that, because it was basically very similar to what happened in Germany just recently, with lots of agents connected to Russia planning a coup d'etat, but not being able to carry it out because it was found out about beforehand. Thank you, Nina. Danon says ammo is not the problem for Ukraine. It's heavy weaponry. Well, Bulgaria has been transferring to us 1/3 of their entire military potential throughout the invasion under the radar. So I would say that that counts as a little more than ammo, and they've done a lot, but it's just no one knew about it. The United States has submitted evidence to the United Nations that North Korea is supplying weapons and ammunition to the Wagner private military company, said John Kirby, spokesman for the U.S. National Security Council. Bulgaria doing UNO, yep. At the briefing, he also presented satellite images showing the transportation of weapons from the DPRK to Russia. So we've talked about this earlier, and there was obviously non-official evidence, but just Maxar satellite images of North Korea sending weapons to Russia and transporting them through the border. And it was very evident through Maxar technologies. And now the United States and the official level has submitted that evidence to the United Nations. It's funny to me, how Azov gets so much like flack from the people that support Russia as being Nazis. Meanwhile, Wagner's founder is openly a Nazi, and they have been committing a genocide in Ukraine, and there's so much evidence of them literally being Nazis. And, Facebook and Instagram have no problem with Wagner hashtags and talking about Wagner, yet we had to fight for Azov to be visible. But, that's very interesting. There is a video from Radio Free Europe or Radio Liberty, and it is a video interview, I would say, from a soldier from the Russian army who says he's ready to testify about Russia's war crimes in Ukraine. So we are going to watch. Okay. What's really funny? That these sounds are usually not made by sports cars or anything. These sounds are usually made by those cars that are about to be falling apart and that someone bought incredibly used, and they're from late 90s to early 2000s, and they can barely to begin with. And then those people, instead of buying a normal car that actually runs and that doesn't have issues, invest all that money that could have been spent on a normal car to put in an exhaust that makes those noises. It's like your car doesn't have the horsepowers to make these noises. Okay? The exhaust making the noise does not make your car be any stronger, any better, or any more impressive in its completation than it is. Please, if you're a man and you think that this gives you an impression of bigger balls, it does not. It actually looks ridiculous. Please just spend that money to buy a normal car that runs and doesn't break down every 2 weeks instead of doing that. It's loud, it's annoying, and it looks stupid. Sorry, I had to, because there are just so many people in my area that do that. And it's just so ridiculous.
С 4 числа, рано утром, 5 утра, уже сказали, все, едьте, едете на войну. Я такой, нет, я сразу в отказ пошел. Командирам говорю, что я не поеду. И они начали меня, ты чё, там, хочешь сесть в тюрьму, там, угрозы пошли. Они были все с оружием, вокруг меня стояли, что бы я сделал? Липовке я чем занимался, так как человек, который, грубо говоря, старался косить от войны, там сымитировал отравление, что мне трясет, заставляли меня всякую низкую работу делать, как обслуживающий персонал, типа, из меня сделали. Большинство других пацанов были в Андреевке.
Скажите, пожалуйста, вы были в Андреевке?
В Андреевке был только когда вот мне командир забирал там якобы прикрытие ему. Стоим, и вижу, пацаны бегут, убегают. А потом я впоследствии узнал, что эти ребята были те, кто изнасиловали мать с дочкой. 4, будучи пьяными, все это делали. Взяли, просто уволили с армии, все. Их не осудили.
64-я мотострелковая бригада Вооруженных сил России прибыла в Бучу в середине марта. Это данные Генштаба украинского. Вы, как вы мне сами сказали, были в Украине до июня. Ну как могли отсидеться в Липовке, если ваша бригада была в Буче?
Я не знаю, я знаю только про себя, что я сидел в Липовке. Я про Бучу узнал только когда. Когда мы 29 марта отступали, когда мы обратно уезжали в Беларусь, и тогда мне опять появился доступ к интернету, я другие начал спрашивать солдат, типа, вы что, типа, вы что, в натуре это делали? Кто-то говорил, что это десантники все псковские сделали, так как они до начала спецоперации к нам приходили, у нас нашивки просили. В Ливенки поехали. И в поезде я когда находился, пытался находить возможности уехать. А потом мой телефон взяли командиры, моральное насилие от них опять же получил, типа, фу, блядь, ты предатель, там, ты, блядь, никто, домой сейчас тебе кокнем. Я уже, кстати, дал тут показания в испанскую полицию, которая работает над военными преступлениями, также по геноциду. Надеюсь, что Россия будет платить репарации, восстанавливать Украину. Я чувствую позор, когда я вижу российский паспорт.
So, Mika, I see you're personally offended by my statement about exhausts. Does that mean that you have a very loud exhaust in your car? And yes, and yeah. As to the testimony of the Russian soldier, it is indeed horrifying. And I mean, I don't know how trustworthy this evidence is to begin with, because again, there is lots of lies happening there. And of course, no one can really rely on the Russian evidence to be trustworthy. And we have 2 more videos in a row coming up. One is Ukrainian troops in Soledar, an update. And another one is our favorite, or rather Veronica's favorite, Russian madness. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just saw it is actually quite hilarious, so I'm excited. I'm not about those RT soldiers to speak up. Is it to clean his image? Yeah, here's the thing. There will be, I don't think that these soldiers are going to lie about specifically what happened. I think they're going to lie about how much part they had in what happened. Because obviously don't want to incriminate themselves. Like this guy was saying, that he is, that he wasn't there. He was just in a different place. And then he was asking the people who served with him about this, and he can't believe that they did all of these atrocities. And it's like, come on now. Okay. Like, I understand that you want to clean up your name, but it's just not right. So I don't think they're going to be lying about the realities of what happened. I think they're going to be lying about their part in it. So that's that. Okay. I am going to put up the first what happened. Why didn't this one? Oh, okay. Let me delete some stuff because evidently I have too much stuff on my computer again, and I haven't cleaned it up in a while. What's going on, and why wouldn't it let me? Okay, so we're gonna play this one, and then we're gonna play the next one. Hi, Tatiana. Thank you, Gabby.
Информационный канал продолжает программа «Пока работает в прямом эфире». Против нас идет война, причем война жестокая, где противник использует самые отъявленные методы борьбы и уничтожения нас с вами, причем в прямом смысле этого слова.
Но мы, Руслан, часто забываем, что есть еще, скажем так, третий наблюдатель и огромная часть мира, который относится к нам, ну, даже с симпатией, и которому не хватает аргументов для того, чтобы поддержать нас.
Кто эти сторонние наблюдатели?
Огромный лагерь так называемого глобального юга. Это страны Азии, Африки, Латинской Америки. Вот сейчас прошел саммит глобального юга, Индия проводила. Более 120 государств. И сейчас разворачивается двадцатка в сторону глобального юга, куда не приглашен, кстати, президент Зеленский. Сейчас меняется ситуация в мире.
Я здесь поддержу коллегу. Есть БРИКС, есть Шанхайская организация, в которых нас слышат. И информацию, которую мы туда даем, она будет распространяться, это 100%. А это, извините меня, ну где-то больше половины населения. В Организации Объединенных Наций примерно 70% стран за нас.
В России произведен первый боекомплект ядерных суперторпед «Посейдон». Заряд будет использоваться в атомные подводные лодки специального назначения «Белгород». Об этом сообщает информагентство ТАСС со ссылкой на источник, близкий к военному ведомству. Соединенные Штаты, между тем, находятся в состоянии паники. Издание «Ньюсвик» нагнетает, сообщая, что наш «Посейдон» может уничтожить Нью-Йорк.
Немецкие танки на русской земле против русских воинов может стать вполне реальным в ближайшем будущем, тем более, что Украина, по сути, становится тренировочным полигоном для западного военно-промышленного комплекса.
А вот хотелось бы узнать, как далеко могут зайти эти испытания.
Поставляет много всего. Во-первых, это системы радиоэлектронной борьбы, это вот новейшие системы противовоздушной обороны, тоже, которые пытаются испытывать, посмотреть, как они действуют. Тот же Патриот. Один комплекс, он вообще ничего не решит. И два тоже, они абсолютно не нужны для обеспечения безопасности Украины.
Но для испытаний против российской армии?
Для испытаний, для проверки. Они работают по крылатым ракетам из композитных материалов нашим, по беспилотникам, как они работают. И это, конечно, великолепный полигон.
То есть инструкции по использованию, американского оружия будут написаны украинской кровью?
И украинской, и российской, и кровью, самое страшное, мирных граждан.
До завтра. Спасибо за внимание.
Yes, everybody supports Russia and its endeavors, don't they? This is like so crazy. I mean, I know that it sounds like they're just clueless and they're crazy. They're not clueless, nor are they crazy. This is meant not for us. This is meant not for you and me. This is meant for Russian internal audience. And this is meant to is happening. Although I still don't understand, honestly, how they think this is going to translate. It does translate in areas where Russians don't really have access to the internet, and I don't mean so. Here's one thing that I want to clarify, and I'm sorry that I'm not moving the camera directly on me. I'm on talk. I'm just because I'm sending another video to show you guys. But I think that where a lot of disconnect is happening to the internet, because the internet is severely monitored, right? I think that the way that we say it is what creates a problem and what makes people believe that it's that it's very similar to North Korea. No, the reason why we say that Russians do not have access to the internet is not because it's monitored. It's not because they can't write. It's not because they can't access sites. Like, the people who have internet have VPN. The reason why Russians have no access to the internet is because most Russians live in destitute poverty. And I know that like destitution and poverty are like synonymous, but I'm using this responsibly because they live in destitute poverty. First of all, Russia is a gas giant. Right now in Novgorod region of Russia, there is no heat and no electricity in any housing, and it's -8 Celsius in people's apartments. And Russia was saying that Europe will freeze. Right? Most Russian buildings do not have access to central sewage system. They don't have electricity. They don't have gas. They don't have things. They don't have roads. So when we say that Russians don't have access to the internet, we mean they don't have access to the internet because internet is a luxury, not because if they're just like severely monitored. No. The people who have internet can find all the info they need to find. So I think that there is that disconnect, and that's something that we don't explain far enough for people to understand, because I often hear the arguments of like, oh, Russians can't like access this information because they don't have the internet. Like, yeah, Russians in most of these places that don't have the internet, they only have like newspapers. Some are lucky, they have landlines, right? And they can talk to each other, and one person in the village might have a TV. In other places, they will have the TV and cable, they won't have the internet. And then, having the internet is like you live in like in okay conditions. In fact, I was like recently on TikTok, and I saw a live of some like kid who looked like, I don't know, he was maybe 17, 18 from Russia. He had the internet. He was live on TikTok, and he was like playing some of his music and whatnot. And I'm like, so this kid has the internet, right? And I look behind him, and he's sitting in this room where there are like cracks in the ceiling where the curtains are, and like there is wallpaper that's like part missing from his walls too. It looks like he's in the living room, which like doubles as his room because he's like sleeping on this like couch bed sort of thing. And that's the reality, like the kid has internet, but like clearly they don't have enough money to buy ceiling fixtures because there was just like a lamp hanging. The wallpaper was, I have a screenshot somewhere. I'll try to find it and post it on like YouTube community tab and on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I actually posted it on Twitter at some point. But yeah, it's just like, that's the reason why they don't have access to the information, not because it's like North Korea and it's monitored. It's just that they can't afford to have internet. And even if they can in some places, there is just no like fibers or cables for the internet. So yeah, that's the thing.
Перебуваю безпосередньо в окопах неподалік лінії зіткнення, власне, в піхоти. Тут, як завжди, є заглиблення, холодна мерзла земля і бій по флангу. Тут більш спокійніша ділянка, але бійці пильно стежать за лінією фронту, оскільки російські війська, зокрема ПВК «Вагнер», намагаються пройти, використовуючи усі рельєфи, пройти чи то в тил, чи на територію, яка зараз контролюється Збройними силами. І от потрібно стежити дуже пильно.
Дальньої посадки підори зайшли туди, І ми оттуда до начала посадки з боєм виходили 2,5 часа. Отходили, оттягувались. Тоже оттягувались по максимуму, вийшли вже, поки нас забрали. У кожного патронів по нолям вже було все, на мінімалках вийшли. Оттягувались на розстоянні голосового контакту з противником. Важко, звісно, коли вони зі всіх сторін лізуть. Ну, це таке. Ось одного нашого затрьохсотили, ось є фоточка. Хлопець в рубашці родився, що реально кульове в шию і що так на вихід. Нічого важливого так не зачепило, слава Богу. Та й таке.
Так, противотанковим комплексом бійці запускають ракету в бік російських військ, де може бути або техніка, або укріплення російської армії.
Нас штурмують щоденно. Тут відбиті вагнерівці до нас топають. В них кількість, напевно, безкінечна. Ну, за цю ніч було знищено на правому фланзі 30 і на лівому 12. Там потім відео вам покажу, там валяються вони. І так щоденно у нас по 10, по 15, приходить орків, вмирає. Ну, вперлися вони в наші посадки і от пробують тут пройти. Ну, не виходить в них. Можливість накліпати орків тут і зараз. Отут у нас є зараз така можливість. Ми кліпаємо їх, дай Боже, але нам потрібні ці пункти.
Мина! Мина!
Okay. Okay, so a couple of things. One, hi. Okay. Hello, Georgia. Thank you for your support on Twitch. I don't know. Nyarla. I'm not sure how to read your screen name. Also, I do wanna iterate something. So someone said earlier that they doubt that these conditions are rampant in Moscow or St. Petersburg. In Moscow and St. Petersburg, in terms of like not having internet and stuff like that. Well, actually, if you go, here's the thing. If you're in the center of Moscow and St. Petersburg, it looks peachy. The second that you get to the suburbs, the second that you get to the outskirts of the city, it is a whole different reality, and it's way less maintained. So yes, a lot of people who live in Moscow and St. Petersburg also experience these conditions with no electricity, with no central sewage, and with no running water. There have been multiple reports and multiple documentaries on it because it is mind-blowing. But you are partially correct that people in Moscow and St. Petersburg, in most cases, do have access to the internet and do have access to the information and still don't do anything. So what I was saying this to is I'm tired of people justifying the Russians that do have the internet as saying, oh, they have no access to the information. They're just fed propaganda. Like, no, they do. The people who do have access to the internet, they have access to free info. It's not North Korea. Comparing Russia to North Korea as like on the level of monitoring and on the level of like freedom of speech and on the level of all of that is like Russia's not up there with China. Russia's not up there with North Korea. Russia's not up there with lots of places. So it's like justifying the fact that Russians are not doing anything with being far away from information and having no access to it is misinformation. They do. Also saying that Russians can't write their opinions freely on the internet because they're going to get arrested. It's like, no, if they're considered, they might get fined, okay? But like if they're considered to be an actual threat to like Russia's national security, then sure, there will be like KGB after them, or FSB rather, but it's just KGB renamed. But you have to like have the potential to actually cause some damage and do some commotion. If you're just like a random Russian who wrote something stupid on the internet, in most cases, no one's gonna care. Like, no one is gonna care. First of all, there's an amazing interview of a prisoner of war from Volodymyr Zolkin on YouTube, and it's a Russian kid who was in a Russian university, I forgot in which region, and he was very against the war. He was planning his escape to Ukraine. He did that. He walked through the field, he climbed over the border, like the whole 9 yards, and he surrendered himself. And now he's in the Legion for Free Russia. And that was his idea from the very beginning. And he's like a child. Like, he looks like he might be 19 or 20 or 21. And he said he was in college. And he said that he made his position in the war in Ukraine, in Russia, incredibly clear. And the only thing that was happening to him is like his peers were bullying him. His teachers were like telling him that he shouldn't be doing that. And like, yeah, people were biased against him and people were assholes. But like, he had a Ukrainian flag on his like VK page. He had a Ukrainian flag on his like Facebook page or whatnot. He had like all of this symbolism. He was wearing like a blue and yellow ribbon to college and stuff like that. And he's not dead. He's not arrested. No one cares because it's a kid in some random city with his opinion. So it's just kind of like, you know, it's a little ridiculous that people think that that if you were to, like, I don't know, paint your nails blue and yellow, you would immediately be arrested. Like, no, your crazy like neighbor might say something mean to you and they might even report you. But honestly, like, do you think Russian agents have enough time to go around 145 million people checking everybody's nails and reprimanding every single person that says something that they consider stupid, which is like support for Ukraine? No, they don't. Like, that's giving Russians too much credit to begin with. So this like idea of Russians living in this vacuum where they're not allowed to do anything and it's just like North Korea or even China is not true. Russia simply doesn't have the resources to monitor people the same way as China does. So just no, like, stop using that as an excuse, actually get real information. Stop listening to Russians who say, we get killed and we get this and we get that. And all of this awful stuff happens and we get arrested and we get beaten if we say a word. None of these people have been arrested or beaten or even reprimanded for any of that. They're just saying it because some of the cases get televised specifically to give that impression. Here is a real statistic that I will provide you in a second. Just give me a jiffy of how much legal action and how much consequences Russians actually paid for protesting and how many of them protested. So, population of the country is 150 million people. Out of that, about a little less than 50 people protested between February 24th and December 14th, 2022. Out of that, 19,428 people were detained in mass detentions in Moscow. Out of those 19,428 people, only 384 got criminal prosecutions, and 5,518 had administrative measures against them. Administrative measures means like a ticket, a fine, something like that. Criminal prosecutions is like, yeah, you are most likely going to go to jail. So 384 people out of 140 million had criminal measures taken against them. Does that sound to you like what Russians are saying? That they can't do anything, they can't say anything, and they get beaten, prosecuted, and thrown to jail and killed? No, it isn't. It's just an excuse to not do anything. It's just an excuse to receive pity. 348 people have had criminal prosecutions. And a little over 5,000 people had administrative measures, which is, again, a fine. A fine. They got a fine. And they're saying that this is some crazy freaking, like, I don't know, conditions in which they can't protest. What do you mean? Like, really, if you're going to a protest, even unfortunately in America, you can expect to get a fine in some cases. And it's not great, and I'm against that. You should be able to freely protest, but come on. They're trying to make it sound like this crazy dictatorship that infringes on all of their freedoms and like kills them and stuff like that. Meanwhile, 5,000 people got a fine, less than 50,000 protested, 19,000 got detained, and 348 might or might not be in jail. And criminal prosecutions don't necessarily even mean jail. Like, they could be on home arrest, they could be on so many different things. They could have bought their way out of it. Like, come on, 348 people out of 145 million got arrested and actually went to jail for protesting? Like, I'm pretty sure more people went to jail during the BLM protests in 2020 in the United States, unfortunately. And you are telling me that Russians have it so bad that they can't protest for the hell of them? Come on. Like, come on. The main news of the night. Kremlin may have deployed air defense systems on buildings in Moscow to create provocative messages in the information space to increase anti-Ukrainian sentiment among Russians. Biden, answering the question about providing Ukraine with Leopard tanks, said that Ukraine will receive all the necessary assistance to fight the Russian army. Ooh. Defense forces repelled enemy attacks near 12 settlements of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The US and allies agreed to impose 2 price caps on Russian oil products. So someone here says BLM was not protests, they were riots, they burned cities. Okay, sure. I mean, I could say a lot about the BLM movement in 2020. We're not going to deep dive into it today because this is not the topic, and there is a lot more to say to that than just that, because that doesn't accurately describe everything that happened and kind of takes away from why that happened. But the point is that yeah, there were riots, and they did so much stuff. Okay? And Russians didn't do that. They just came to the Red Square with like posters that say no to war. In a dictatorship, they thought posters were going to work, where they know and they claim they have no freedom of speech, and then they were confused as to why they got arrested. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point, that more people got arrested during BLM than in Russia during the anti-war protests. Do you understand the magnitude and the scale of the difference here? More people got arrested and prosecuted during BLM in 2020 than people in Russia for protesting against the war, against a genocide. Do you see the scale here? People during the BLM movement were so pissed off that they were setting stuff on fire. Russians, during a genocide, came to the Red Square with posters. With posters. Also, oh my gosh, could you please block the conspiracy theorist over there? That's just, I don't have time for that. But yeah. But yeah, I hope that gives you the info you need to know to make conclusions. A fire broke out at an oil depot in Angarsk, Irkutsk Oblast, Russia. Railroad tanks and a gasoline tanker caught fire. Violation of fire safety requirements during the work is the main reason for the incident, the regional department of the Russian Emergencies Ministry said. Yeah, so an oil depot in Irkutsk is on fire. Is on fire, and they're trying to blame, you know, just as always, someone smoked in the wrong place, you know? Ukrainians will start training on Leopard 2s despite no agreement on their supply. Ukrainian tankers will soon begin training on Challenger 2 tanks in the UK. According to Ukrainian Ambassador Vadim Prostaiko, it won't take long because according to British instructors, the Ukrainian military is motivated and learns very quickly. He explained that tanks are already being prepared for shipment to Ukraine. In Kyiv, the Interior Ministry officials who died in a plane crash in Brovary said goodbye. Today was a huge funeral remembrance event for the plane crash in Brovary. Let me remind you that our Secretary of State and our Internal Affairs Minister Monastyrsky were both in that helicopter crash. They did not survive, and it was a very, 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 very big blow. It was a very, very big blow, and it was incredibly just unexpected, and it's a tragedy. And there's so many kids that were injured, and a few kids that died in the kindergarten into which the helicopter crashed. And so today was the funeral. A farewell ceremony to the victims of the plane crash in Brovary continues in Kyiv. It is being held at the Ukrainian House. The ceremony has already been attended by President Volodymyr Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelenska. The plane crash on January 18 killed Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky, his first deputy Yevhen Yenin, Interior Ministry Secretary of State Yuri Lyubkovich, 4 ministry employees, and 3 helicopter crew members. 4 people, including 1 child, also died on the ground when the helicopter crashed. And here is the thing, it might be a controversial statement, but so most likely, and the investigation is not done yet, the reason for the crash was human error because the helicopter was flying very low and it was going to a hotspot, and it was doing that in order to not be taken down by Russian missiles. Right now, all the helicopters in Ukraine are flying incredibly low, and it was difficult weather conditions, and so the pilot probably just didn't manage the control of the vehicle. And but at the end of the day, it's still Russia's fault, because had it not been for Russia's brutal invasion, they wouldn't be flying that low in a helicopter to avoid missiles to begin with, So at the end of the day, it is still Russia's fault. Prigozhin wrote a letter to the United States to find out about the crimes of the Wagnerites. Dear Mr. Kirby, I have a question for you. Can you name the crime committed by the Wagner PMC? Thank you in advance, E.V. Prigozhin. Well, yes. First of all, you are on a territory of another country, waging a war of aggression unprovoked and continuing and helping in a genocide. 1. 2. There are multiple reports of your Wagnerites essaying, torturing, and executing civilians in areas in which they have control. There are so many things that I can say to the crimes of the Wagnerites, but Yevgeny Prigozhin is one person who does not deserve nor my attention, nor Mr. Kirby's. So I will just say that. Okay. Statement by the Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis and his colleagues from Latvia and Estonia. We foreign ministers call on Germany to provide Leopard tanks to Ukraine now. This is needed to stop Russian aggression, help Ukraine, and restore peace in Europe quickly. Germany, as the leading European power, has special responsibility in this regard. I think Germany also, as someone who had formerly been in the same shoes as Russia is now, and as a country that unfortunately, which it's not the fault of the country, right? Like of the modern Germany, but it definitely is a legacy that Germany still lives with. It's the legacy of World War II. And knowing what happened then and not wanting to supply Ukraine with Leopards to help defend itself from a force just as bad as the Nazis were during World War II is just immoral, to say the least, Next week, Italy will accept the 6th package of military aid to Ukraine, says La Repubblica. It will include S-Pied air defense systems. The supply of SAM-PT air defense systems is still being discussed. Thank you, Truthful. Some components need to be received from France in order to transfer the weapons to Ukraine. Friday, January 20th was the warmest day in Kyiv in 143 years. The temperature rose to plus 10.2 Celsius, according to the Boris Sraznevsky Central Geophysical Observatory. The warmest winter day in Kyiv in 143 years, because it's definitely been warmer than 10 degrees in Kyiv. Medvedev says that Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine is a new patriotic war for Russians. It's so freaking funny that they keep saying that it's a patriotic war where they're defending themselves from aggression. Meanwhile, they have not been touched by anyone. Borrell mentioned that our country defended Napoleon and Hitler. Accordingly, the Ukrainian Nazis in Western Europe are the direct heirs of those who fought against Russia. And the war with them is therefore a new patriotic war, and the victory will be ours, just like in 1812 and 1945. So again, I said this in the brief in relation to another Russian official that was saying a similar thing, but I will say this again. If you haven't watched the brief, go watch it. But who is going to tell him that the only reason Russia was able to aid in stopping Germany was because Russia was given weapons by the United States in order to even stand a chance? So I'm like curious. Does he know that it wasn't their victory? It was quite literally Lend-Lease and proximity. Protesters marched to the SPD Bavarian headquarters in order to demand heavy weapons delivery to Ukraine. Former German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht banned the inventory of Bundeswehr tanks before she resigned. According to Business Insider, she was afraid that if it becomes known that the Bundeswehr was checking its tanks, it will be interpreted as a willingness to transfer them to Ukraine and put unnecessary pressure on Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Interesting. The next Ramstein will be aviation and will take place in mid-February, the deputy head of the OP said. He's confident that Ukraine will soon receive the necessary weapons from its Western partners. The Ministry of Defense's news agency has published the first photo of the German IRIS-T air defense system, which is in service with Ukraine. Last October, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said that the system was 90% effective. It's kind of funny when Russians were saying that Patriots wouldn't do anything because, like they know how Patriots work. Let me see something. Armin has submitted his quote of the day way earlier today because I was late, so let me read it. Every strike brings me closer to the next home run. Babe Ruth. There will always be hardships and setbacks, but in the end, those who endure will always reach success. Keep striving tirelessly. Thank you, Armin. Yeah, I think that's the thing, if we keep pressuring, if we keep talking about it, if we keep talking about the necessity of it, if we keep marching to the Bundeswehr, if we keep putting pressure on Scholz, if we keep disregarding Christine Lambrecht, we will get the Leopards. And it's not like we just want them because they're good tanks. It's like they're necessary for our survival. Yeah, that's the thing. Finland is ready to give 20 of their Leopards, and Finland is bordering with Russia. Finland is, Swami, is has so much more to worry about than Germany does. And they're still ready to provide Leopards for Ukraine. Come on, Germany. Nina says 2023 is the Chinese Year of the Rabbits, which stands for luck and peace. Ooh, that's cool. Or as the French say, qui verra, verra. That feeling of you have to live on to find out. Yeah. Finnish Canadian. Yes, I remember. Well, this is the use that they were bought. Yeah, exactly. For some reason, Kayla, I thought you were European. No, Kayla is from here. Yeah, so that's all I have informationally for you for today. As to Kayla talking about the new face device that drowned in my toilet bowl today, putting it on Amazon wishlist, I will think about it, but there is so much stuff on that wish list that's actually more useful in terms of like, using it for filming and stuff like that I don't know if it's the best use. Like, I'm gonna miss it so much because I use it every morning and I'm so pissed that happened, but yeah. The year of the rabbit, the year Russians run away from Ukraine. Yeah, rabbits do run fast, so that translates too. Armin says the PM of Finland is straight up one of the best leaders in the entire world right now. Yes, we do love Sanna Marin, right? Sanna Marin. Do you believe Belarus will enter the war as well, or are they being smart and avoiding? I don't believe Belarus is going to enter the war for various reasons. Again, Belarus is already threatened with sanctions, like quite severely in the latest package. In the latest package, but I don't think Lukashenko can handle that. I don't think he can. Also, he hasn't been wanting to do that. Also, there was a statement from Tsikhanovskaya, who is like the opposition leader of Belarus, that there will be severe unrest in Belarus if they decide to join the war. So I don't think that Lukashenko has. I don't think it's a smart move on his behalf. Let's just say it that way. And I don't want to say too much because I'm going to talk about it in the new brief. And I don't want to give out all of my topics in the new brief, you know. The Belarusian government plays a game right now. Yes, they are. They definitely are playing a game. Agreed. Agreed. Fake government afraid of its own people. Well, that's because it's not the government of the people. Alrighty, that's all I have. Do we have any questions? Do we have any suggestions or anything like that? I'm going to go walk the beastie and then I am going to make some food, but I'm probably gonna come on to just chat later in the evening today. So just like hang out and, you know, hang out and talk and just kind of like hang out and talk. So if you guys are around in the evening, I'll probably just do a TikTok live while I will just be hanging out and chatting. So, oh, and again, as always, if you have enough karma to post an Are Ukraine on Twitter, the latest brief, please do so. I will be eternally grateful. Sometimes they remove the posts because I don't even know what their criteria is anymore, but sometimes they don't. But yeah, there is that. What is karma? Well, see, this is how I know you're not on Reddit and you're not on Are Ukraine. It's the ability to post, basically. It gives you the ability to post. But yes, if anyone has enough karma to post on Are Ukraine, we'll be eternally grateful if you post the latest brief, and that will be really cool. Again, they might remove it because honestly, they either have a vendetta against like Ukrainian news reporters, or they just sometimes don't like my titles, but sometimes they keep it. So we shall see. Okay, see you later, guys. What military groups areas need the most basics, and how do we send it to them? Dan, if you have Instagram or Twitter, can you DM me on either Instagram or Twitter, and I can tell you more about it, because it's not really like a super quick answer. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Bye, guys. See you later.